This week's guest on the Chef's Cut is Chef Maneet Chauhan, an award-winning chef and cookbook author, also Food Network star and champion chef competitor. We're talking her path to becoming a chef.
My older sister, she went to college and I would go to meet her and I would show up with food. And soon I realized I was the most popular kid on campus and I didn't even go to school there. I'm like, aha, this is what I want to do.
Balancing restaurants and television.
She was like, it's your call. Do you want to be in the one restaurant, bogged down by these small things for the rest of your life, or do you want to expand? And that was an eye-opening experience for me.
Ketchup on hot dogs.
Fork it only if it is Indian Maggi hot and sweet ketchup.
And a wedding cake walk-in confession that will have you on the edge of your seat.
The uncle of the bride decides that they want to go ahead and move the entire table. So I can see this entire thing happening in slow motion.
Full-length video of The Chef's Cut is now available on YouTube and Spotify, so be sure to hit subscribe right now on YouTube so you don't miss an episode. Let's meet Maneet. Welcome to The Chef's Cut, Maneet Chauhan. It is so great to see you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
I am so excited to be here and creating trouble with you guys. I think that's what the fun part is all about. I've got to tell you, I've been so enjoying all the conversations that you've been having. And it is just, it's so easy and so relatable and so fun. So I'm like, I was feeling left out. I'm like, please get me on.
So funny enough, Joe, I don't know if I told you this, but Maneet and I were actually doing a show together. I don't think we can talk about it yet, but we were hanging out and Maneet said, I always thought that Joe was so serious. I was like, what?
You're the first person ever.
She was like, he's so funny.
You come across as very, to the point, and this is what it is. You better listen to me. Otherwise, I will be throwing the sauce pot at you, that kind of person. I'm like, my first reaction is, we chef.
You can ask anyone who's ever worked in a kitchen with me. It's quite weirdly the opposite. I think I am intense. And I think people think I'm serious because I'm tall, but that's really it. I'm a complete and total jackass.
Complete. I can vouch for that.
Thank you, Adrian, for having my back.
Of course. So Maneet, we're going to get into it. One thing that I want to ask you, because as much as we know about your professional career now, I don't know some of the background. Like, what was the moment that you decided that being a dirtbag line cook, like this was it? This was what you wanted to do?
I love the fact that you said when we started, we were the dirtbag line cook. I think we still are. I think about it, we still are, right? I mean, there are times you walk into the kitchen and somebody hasn't come up. Dishwasher isn't there, you roll up your sleeves and you jump in. And I think that's what we love about this industry, just that craziness of it, that belonging. I think to me, it's really interesting. If anybody asks me if there was an alternate career that I would have ever thought of, I have a trouble answering that question, because to me, this was it. And so I grew up in this really small town in India where, people from all over India in this community, my dad, an engineer, mom, principal of a school. And the interesting part about India, like in most of the world, is that each and every region has a very specific cuisine of its own. So what was being cooked at our house was predominantly Northern Indian Punjabi food. But my neighbors were from Southern India or from Eastern India, Western India. So I literally was the kid who would finish dinner at home, go over to my neighbors' houses, tell them that my parents hadn't fed me. So can I eat with you? So I would sit on the dining table with them. But more fascinating than the dining table was the kitchens with the aunties. Right? Like I would go into the kitchen, and like be this obnoxious kid where I'm like, my whys were about food. Like, why are you heating the oil before you're adding the spices? Why are you doing this? And it's interesting because these aunties did not have a scientific reason, which later on when we went to culinary school, we understood what the science behind cooking is. But at that time, it was all about instincts. Right. And then later on, my older sister, she went to college and I would go to meet her. And the dorm food was, as usual, obnoxious, and I would show up with food. And soon I realized I was the most popular kid on campus and I didn't even go to school there. I'm like, aha, this is what I want to do. Of course, it also was a big thing that everybody in our community, they were, my generation, they were starting to be doctors and engineers. Meanwhile, yours truly wants to be a chef. And the number of people who came home and advised my parents that if she studies hard enough, she can still be an engineer. And I'm like, really? You say I can't be a chef? That's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I guess it was just a combination of everything together.
Oh, that's awesome. So what was it that you first fell in love with? Was it the creative side of putting food together and learning about it? Or was it like the cooking, the lifestyle that came along with it?
I think what made me fall in love with cooking is something which has kept me in love with cooking so far, which is the joy that it gets to the people in front of you. It's the fact that it brings people together, the fact that you can communicate with people without even knowing the same language. I think that is so powerful. And I think I realized that where, that aha moment that, oh, this is why I'm obsessed with food. A couple of years back, Vivek and I went to Peru. We went to this small town called 𝗂𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗵𝘂. We had just taken a red eye. Vivek is like, I'm going to rest up for a few minutes. I'm like, I'm going to go to the local market. I walk in. He finds me an hour later at the local market making and selling potato croquettes with a local Peruvian lady. I don't know Spanish and she didn't know English.
My God.
And it was a powerful moment for me because that's the time I realized that the power of food is it's so universal. That language is something that you can just you can bridge all barriers if, right? Imagine if we as chefs were running the world, it would be a nice, overfed and a happy world. And I think that's why I love it.
I agree with that. That's beautiful.
It's the best. And I think just, me and Adrian have talked about this a ton, but like how special, like sharing a kitchen with someone is, whether you're on a line, whether you're in someone's home, whether you're, in a market, wherever. And they're all kind of the same. There's always like the head person and there's always like some shithead who needs to be there. And it might be their sister, it might be their cousin, it might be a line cook, it might be whatever, but there's always, that person too. I love what you're saying. Like, where you're like, I can't imagine anything else. And I still tell that people all the time when they come in and they're like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm like, can you think about doing anything else?
Yeah.
If you can think about anything else,
you might want to do it.
That's the thing.
Powerful. That is so powerful. I'm so stealing that, Joe. I usually ask people, why do they want to get into the food industry? And they say that they want to be on TV. I'm like, look for something else.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that is a very distant byproduct of what we do.
Yeah.
It's not, that's not the destination. It's somewhere along the way.
First, Maneet, we have a little bit of fork it or forget it for you. So you're familiar with this segment, right? If you fork it, it's something you want to try or do. If you forget it, that means we're kicking it to the curb. So Joe, what do you have for us today?
So Maneet, I don't know if everyone knows this about you, but one thing, I've had the pleasure of meeting you and Vivek many times and talking with both of you. You're both lovely. Actually, I love your husband. I think he's really funny and great. And I know everyone.
We have something in common.
Yeah. You guys have deep Chicago roots. You spent a ton of time here, and I know you love, our city as well. So if we're going to forget it today, we're going to get controversial. I'm going to put you on the spot. Ketchup on hot dogs. Is it allowed?
Fork it only if it is Indian Maggi hot and sweet ketchup.
I don't even know of this ketchup.
Well, next time when we meet, I'm
hot
getting you
and
a bottle.
sweet ketchup.
I've only seen the
it's
Maggi
almost
sauce.
like a chutney. Yeah, it's like a Maggi sauce, but it is in India, so it's got garlic and it's got spices, and like I even put it on my omelette. Though, of course, the other day Antonia posted something that she's like, "Oh, Greg is putting ketchup on his hot dog." I'm like, and she's like, we are no longer friends. I'm like, I will literally have you try this and then you can say we are no longer friends.
Oh my God. So that's a very different condiment than tomato ketchup though. So in Chicago, it is like scorch the earth. No tomato ketchup should ever touch a hot dog. Apparently I heard that got its start because places selling like rancid meat would try to cover it up by putting ketchup on them in Chicago, like in the stockyards and the meat yards.
They would sell the
meatpacking
old
district
meat at places like right outside the stockyard. They have little places
with
that sold
ketchup on
steaks.
it to cover up the fact that it was rancid. So putting a sign up that said no ketchup on our hot dogs meant that your meat was fresh. So in Chicago, we were raised, I didn't know this history until like, I don't know, a few months ago, but I was raised.
Should be taught in schools.
It should be.
I learned about it right now. I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
When I was really little, I liked ketchup on everything. So yes, I put ketchup on my hot dogs as like a 6-year-old up to like, you know, whatever, 8. But then after that, my mom was like, yeah, we're just going to have to take that away from you. Like it was not a thing. So for me, it's a forget it. I can't put ketchup on hot dogs anymore. What about you, Joe?
So it's a general rule. It's a forget it for me, but there are 2 exceptions to the rule that I will let you in on right now, that where it makes it acceptable.
Besides the Maggie ketchup?
Well, one of them is pretty close to the Maggie ketchup. One, I will say, if there are no other condiments available, there's nothing else, and it's like ketchup or nothing, you can go ketchup over a dry dog. A dry dog's a weird way to go. I think you get put on a list if you're just eating plain hot dogs over the age of 10. It's a weird thing to do. It's just weird. People look at you. They're like, you're just doing that? And it's like,
really
yeah,
wanted a hot dog.
You're just eating a plain warm bologna sandwich right now, rolled up. Like, that's weird. You're a weird guy. Like, don't sit too close to my children. And I will say the other second exception is, similar to Maneet's, I don't know, I'm sure you both have been, but I don't know if you've eaten a hot dog there. Scandinavian hot dogs at the airport. If you've ever been to a Scandinavian airport and had a hot dog, listen to me.
What is it like?
The hot dogs at all Scandinavian airports are fucking top tier. Top tier. And they do this spicy mustard, and they have this weird, like it's kind of a chunky ketchup, and then they put fried onions on it.
Ooh.
And holy shit. Like me and my wife, I knew about the Scandinavian airport hot dogs from a trip when I was flying through Copenhagen and very hungover coming from Milan. And that's where I fell in love. So we were flying through Reykjavik in Iceland, and we landed there at 6 a.m. And I told my wife, I was like, I'm getting a hot dog. And if you want one, you have to get one. You can't have any of mine. I've been looking forward to this hot dog since we booked this flight. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Scandinavian airport hot dogs, that top tier. And I got one, and she saw it. She was like, I need to get one of those. We flew through this airport twice. I was in Reykjavik for a total of 36 hours. I had 7 hot dogs.
Oh my God.
All from the airport.
So now whenever Joe is traveling, if he is traveling from South Africa to Australia, he will go via Reykjavik and then go
That's it. Lay over in Oslo so I can get a hot dog. Look, this is a terrible flight path.
But it's true, because even have you had those Japanese hot dogs? Again, like they have all of these really incredible toppings, like, you know, you have seaweed and nori. I mean, they are, and I think that's the incredible part. Or even like Germany, right? Like the currywurst and all of that. So yes. So a very long-winded answer to your really short question. Yeah, in some circumstances.
It's a forget it by law of the land. It's a forget it, but there are exceptions. Emergency scenarios. You know what I mean? There are emergency scenarios, or you're in Scandinavia and all bets are off. Like, listen, if we're in a country where they eat reindeer, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
Stuff's on the menu. Why not put the red ketchup on them?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, red noses on the menu. We're eating, you know, red sauce.
That, as Joe mentioned, because you have deep roots in Chicago, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but one of your first big career moves before the things people see now was when you were the chef at Vermilion in Chicago. And that was Latin and Indian, beautiful kind of cuisine. And you really made a name for yourself as the chef there. And now you're doing a lot of television. So Joe, going on, you know, restaurant number 4, is going into that balance himself of balancing operationally running restaurants while also being a media personality.
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the things I wanted to talk about today, I think like now people see you chef and it's like, you've done so much TV, right? You've been on every show and you're awesome on it. like when you judge on things, it's fantastic. When you get competition,
you.
like you just, you know, like your personality comes through so well. And I don't think that's easy to do, but I think you make it look so effortless because it's just who you are. You know what I mean? It just comes through and it's beautiful. And I think people forget sometimes you're a super serious chef. You've had restaurants everywhere. You still have restaurants. You still run restaurants. And for me, it's always an interesting thing. And it's like a weird thing to like talk about sometimes of like, you know, like I do a little bit TV, not nearly as much as the both of you. But like when I have to go do that, it's like having conversations with my staff of like, I'm going to do this because it's like, it's become like a function of what we do now, right? Because it helps drive people to those restaurants. And the more we drive people to those restaurants, the busier our staff is, the more money they make, the more we can promote people, the more we can grow, the more we can expand, the more we can push it through. And so I'm always curious with chefs like yourself, what does your balance look like now when you like go to the restaurants and you pop in? Like, how do you pop in? Like, where do you try to like get your impact into the restaurants at this point in your career, balancing it with such a robust schedule of, you know, filming and travel and events and, you know, just, you know, being a fucking badass all the time.
Just keep on talking, Joe. You're doing wonders for my ego. Yeah, tell me more. Tell me more about how awesome. I'm just kidding. You know what, Joe? There is the struggle constantly, right? Balance, right? And I strongly believe that there is nothing known as balance in life.
Sure.
At least for me. And to me, what has worked is that the moment that I find myself in will get 200% of me. Right. And this is something like you've met Vivek, and there was a time where I had the need that I needed to be there everywhere. Right. Where he was like, listen, if you want to be everywhere, then you've got to figure out how comfortable you are giving up a little bit of control. Right. Because we know we are chefs. We want to be in everything, right? From where the detergent is coming for the dishwashing to, you know that, right? Like, oh, something is leaking. I want to be the focal point of it. I need to make all the decisions. And we had this strong conversation where he was like, it's your call. Do you want to be in the one restaurant, like bogged down by these small things for the rest of your life, or do you want to expand? And that was an eye-opening experience for me, because I was like, no, I want to do that. And then slowly you start realizing that the team that you build around yourself is the team that deserves the real credit for where you are. Right? Like I always say that I'm the loudest person in the room. That's why I get the most amount of oxygen. Right? But it is the incredible team around you who is supporting you to do what you want to do. And I think over the years, I have started realizing what is my true impact. My biggest impact is definitely getting people into the door. That's very, very important in today's day and age. Yeah, the menus are mine. Am I working on the line every day? No, I'm not, right?
Right. No.
Rarely doing that. But the fact is that I have realized my biggest impact is getting people through the door. So that's what I'm going to work towards.
That's also the hardest thing to do. And I don't think people talk about that enough. Is like, you know, I always say like busy problems are good problems, right? Busy problems are easy to fix. You got, you know, you're like, oh, we're so busy. We need more food. We need more cooks. We need more space, right? Busy problems are easy problems. Slow problems are scary fucking problems. How to get more people to a restaurant is hard. And everybody talks like, oh, we do this one thing. And it's like, there's no one thing. It's a grind. And, you know, it's almost like, you know, not having guests for restaurants, it's almost like an illness, right? You know, if you're sick, nothing else matters, you know, as they say, like at a restaurant, if you're slow, nothing else matters.
And think about it. Both of you know that every time it takes more energy to go out and be on all the time, right? Than to be in your kitchen. If anybody asks me, where do you want to go and work in the kitchen? I'm like, I want to go to the dish pit. Right? Everybody thinks that it is the easiest thing. No,
it's
nobody's
science.
talking to me. I'm like, all I'm doing is like, it's these dishes. I don't have to worry about all the noise around. And that is the whole thing, right? Like as we start taking each and every, you know, rung of the ladder that, you know, we go up, the noise starts, it's louder. The noise is louder, the responsibility is more, there is so much more that you've got to do. And I think that's the critical part about it. But
Right.
you've got to realize, like, it is, even when I travel, I've got 2 young kids, and the amount of guilt I live with is a lot.
Oh.
And that's what it is. Like, I'm like, when I leave the restaurant, the guilt is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You constantly have to figure out that what is the bigger picture over here, what works better for the entire unit as a whole.
Yeah.
And you've got to kind of, like, everybody has a job to do, and if we work in harmony, then the entire ship goes up. And I think that's how, maybe I'm convincing myself, but that's
No, we
what
have to
is
convince
working for me.
ourselves. We have to. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Nobody else is gonna. And it's like,
Yeah.
I feel that, like what you said, of like, I feel guilt of not being at the restaurant when I'm not there. I feel guilt of not being with my children when I'm not here. And it's like, it's like you have these two things. And I think, one of the most beautiful things you said, and this is something I strive for and I still, probably suck at, but like, you're like, wherever I am, I'm 100% in on that. And I think like that is, there's no balance in this shit, right? You know what I mean? You can't have balance going 100 miles an hour. You just, you're just trying to survive.
Right.
And so like our idea of balance is not everyone else's idea of balance. Our idea of balance is just like, everything's still going.
True.
You know what I mean? Forward
That's
is
why I
down.
had to
We are
bring this up.
balancing.
Yeah. That's
Right.
why
I
had to bring this
haven't
up, 'cause
fallen
you
over
guys-
yet. Let's go.
because you guys have so much in common with this. And when Joe and I have talked separately, aside from like recording, I know that this is something that like he still carries that guilt of like, if I'm not in the restaurant, like people are going to think I'm not true to it, or my team is going to doubt my like fidelity. I'm like, dude, get over yourself. Like,
Right.
And he's like,
I'm
"But
like,
I have to
I'm like,
keep my
oh, they're going to think
consistency."
they're going to think I don't work hard.
Right.
They
It's
think
like
that I'm
that.
lazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I swear, and I don't know why we live with that. I was having a conversation with Antonia where she's like, if you think there is one person in this entire world who thinks that you're lazy, right? That is never a fact. So you really don't have to push yourself extra. Do what you want to. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Right.
But
And
you're
I
right.
don't, you say that to me out loud, and I'm like, I completely agree. But also, I was sitting there last night feeling guilty because it was like 8:30, and I was like, I should get out of here so I'm home in time for bedtime, and I can put the kids to bed, and then like maybe get some work done after I put the kids to bed. Even though I had worked a super long day, but I was doing other stuff, so I wasn't like running service because we were
Yeah.
working on new menu stuff for the new restaurant, and I'm like, oh, everybody's going to think I'm just like a piece of shit who sat around.
Right, right. And that goes back to like you guys were saying earlier, like chefs are just, I think we're wired differently, right? Like we want to take on everybody else's burdens. We want to feed people. We want to make people happy and spread love and spread joy in this world. And because we're wired differently, we usually have things that we're proud of, but it's not always what we're known for. So, Chef Maneet, is there something in your career that you're super proud of, an accomplishment that you had personally or professionally, but you feel like it's not something that people know about you?
To me, I would literally think that if I am in a room or if I'm filming or whatever I'm doing, if I walk away from that scenario, and even if I have made 5 people feel good about themselves, I think I've had a good day. And that to me is pretty much like, professional accomplishments are different, but I think in today's day and age, people second guess themselves. People they push themselves. They're so hard on themselves. So even if I can make 5 people feel good about themselves, then I think, to me, I think that's the one thing which I'm most proud of. Like if I can just spread some kind of joy, like if people hear my name and there's a smile on their face, that is something which is more important to me than any like professional accomplishments.
Maneet, I think you're being way too modest. I think that when you look at certain cuisines in this country, right? You look at what 𝗙𝗵𝗃 did for Korean cuisine, and you look at how that spread. When we've had this conversation on the show before, we've talked about how all food is ethnic food when it enters the conversation, right? French went through it. Italian food went through it. Southern cuisine or African-American cuisine kind of has that.
Went through it.
Yeah, it's like everything is going through it. But, you look at people who were at the forefront of bringing Indian cuisine to the conversation, to the culinary table of America. And you think about chefs like Floyd Cardoz, you know, in New York. And he was a huge name in that. But I think on the other side of that, you did just as much with Vermilion, bringing Indian cuisine to the serious conversation and to the canon of what we look at as like high profile restaurants in the US. So you may not say that that's like an accomplishment, but you know, for somebody who sees these cuisines as they grow, you know, you see like 𝗯𝗲𝗃 in DC, which is a restaurant that did that as well. It's like Vermilion, 𝗯𝗃𝗃, Floyd Cardoz's restaurants in New York. It's like those are restaurants that
and now
really
look at the number of Indian restaurants which are opening in New York, which is incredible.
And
You know what?
Chicago.
Actually, in
Chicago, it's going nuts.
I know.
You know, you have Indian that's a Michelin star Indian restaurant in
Exactly.
Chicago. Like when you were running Vermilion, could you imagine like the idea in your mind if like you were a 20-year-old line cook today, you could walk in and work at, you know, a 1 or 2, you know, Michelin star restaurant in New York or Chicago? Like that must be kind of wild.
Not with the kind of food that I wanted to do, which is actually, you know, when I won 𝗂𝗃 the second time, and it was blind tasting, which to me I think is so incredible. But the second
𝗂𝗃, for anybody who doesn't know, is Tournament of Champions.
Yeah. The second time was on 2 Indian dishes. One was
nice.
Indian street food, which was like a sloppy Joe, like you know, a 𝗬𝗵𝗂, and the second one was a 𝗪𝗲𝗃𝗲, which was a Kashmiri like goat meatball. And the fact that this was unabashedly like, I'm like, this is it, Maneet. Show your flavors. You really don't have to tame it down. And I do think that was that, to me, winning on those flavors on a platform that high was huge for me. Which is the same, like even when Floyd had done, you know, the Top Chef Masters, right? He won on this upma, which is, you know, pedestrian everyday breakfast item. And I'm like, those are moments that young people see and they are like, okay, I'm a part of this American tapestry. I'm not outside it. And I think that is more powerful.
Yeah, to know that your food can be considered in those conversations. Like when I go to a city and I'm looking, what are the top 5, 10 restaurants? Where can I get a reservation? It's not by category of cuisine. Like you look up the top restaurants in New York, 𝗏𝗏𝗃 and 𝗧𝗵𝗲 are coming up in that. It doesn't matter that they're Indian or that they're specific regions of Indian cuisine. They're in that conversation just as much as French, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Mexican, everything.
Right. You don't have to search it out anymore and be like, oh, we want. I was lucky enough. I worked at Spiaggia with Tony Mantuano, and I remember like finding his old menus from like 1984. And like, you know, and for like Italian food at that time, when they opened that restaurant and they were like, oh, we're going to do like really fancy Italian food. People were like, yeah, you're going to be out of business in, you know, 6 months. And like reading the menus, and they're doing, you know, now stuff that's like so simple in the idea. But it was like he had a farfalle dish with cherry tomatoes and arugula. And I was like, people must have lost their fucking minds for that in 1984. They must have been like, what the fuck is this bow tie pasta? He's like, dude, he's like, I was blowing minds. He's like, nobody had seen arugula. Nobody had seen arugula. They were like, what is this green? And he's like, they thought I was like inventing shit. He's like, it was crazy. And I was just like, you know, like cooking Italian food, like from Italy. And, you know, and it, you know, like obviously, you know, like, you know, stayed for 37 years. It was a Michelin star restaurant, but it was like, that was my favorite thing. So it like kind of, you know, in my mind, like correlated a lot, like in my head when we were talking about you yesterday, and just thinking of like seeing all these restaurants blow up now, and like where, you know, it started, where it's gone, and, you know, God only knows where it'll go. So it's just, it's fucking cool. That's all.
And Maneet, what is one dish that, like, if you're going to go to an Indian restaurant in any city, what are some of the things that you look for on the menu to say like, oh, this place is just kind of catering to the American takeout market, or this place is legit?
I definitely look into chaats. So chaats are these Indian street food. Translated from Hindi, it means to lick. It's also the name of my cookbook. See, the shameless
Yeah.
plug.
Man,
One of two
God damn, you're good. God damn, you're good, chef.
I
You
know,
flew
I
that
know.
right in there. I was
I
like,
just slid it into it. But
I was just waiting for you to like pull it up from a.
I know. I'm like, ah.
It's like, how did you get a link on there?
Right over there. Click over here for the link. But to me, charts. To me, I literally think that the best chefs around the world are street food chefs. And I call them chefs because they have limited resources, be it the ingredients they get, the refrigeration, the cooking, etc. Especially like in Southeast Asian countries where all they have is a small table and that's what they are churning out deliciousness, right? It's mind blowing, right? You are like, not only are they estimating how much they have to make, they are getting all of these incredible flavors. They are serving and collecting money while they are cooking. Like, to me, it's just fascinating, and that's why this book was an ode to them, right? Like, it was all of the street food. So again, Indian street food is something who anybody who's grown up in India or ever has gone and tried it, we have a very particular place in our heart for it, because it is it's nostalgia, it's deliciousness, it's just texture, flavors, everything good in life in that one bite. And if a restaurant is paying homage to that, to this is Indian food, because not many people know about it, and if they're paying homage to that, they automatically get a check in my on my list.
Two that I love so much, Maneet, and I saw you have one of them on your menu at least, is pani puri.
Oh yeah.
Which is these little crispy balls, and they're filled with like potato and tamarind water and herbs and chilies. It's like a little flavor bomb. You like
it looks like a ping pong
shell.
ball.
Yeah,
it looks like a ping pong ball, and you have to eat it in one bite, otherwise you'll be wearing it. It is so good. And when you come to Nashville or Orlando, you've got to try it. I think our water has some magic in it. So yeah, I can't. I mean, that's what I want to eat. So I want everybody to eat that.
I love that, and I love bell puri.
So we do have bhelpuri in our Orlando location.
Okay.
We call it the puffed rice salad because, again, we are in Disney, so we want it to be, a little bit more approachable. But we do have that.
Oh, I love those. And these are things that I was like, where have these been my whole life? Because growing up, living in Florida also, I only saw, like the greatest hits. I feel like it's kind of like soul food, where everybody knows fried chicken and collard greens, cornbread, biscuits, but they don't know some of the small regional dishes that I grew up eating and my family made, like in Mississippi. And when I discovered like some of these chops, I was like, oh, there is so much more to this cuisine. And like, I need this. I need more of it.
And I feel like also like there just wasn't a lot of Indian food like on the South Side too. Like it's all on the North Side of Chicago for some reason. But like it just wasn't down here. And I never really ate it until like, I moved to the North Side, and then I was like, oh, this, fucking rules. Like this is awesome.
It's like Devon and stuff, right? It's been around for such a long time, like both Indian, Pakistani, right? Food, but also at times you want somebody who knows it to take you over there the first time, so that you can, like, I remember the first time when I was at the CIA, one of my roommates, she was from Hong Kong, and she took me to a Hong Kong style dim sum place in Brooklyn, and I had never had that. And that was because she did that, I became less intimidated walking into any Chinatown, finding a Hong Kong style dim sum place and just pointing at everything which came in front of me. So I guess that is it. If once you go with somebody, it kind of unlocks that hesitation or that fear.
You kind of need like a cultural ambassador.
Yes. There's no greater like luxury, I think, in dining than going to a restaurant with somebody wildly familiar with that cuisine. It's like when I've gotten to eat in Italy with like Tony and Missy, you know what I mean? Or when, the first time, Bill Kibb took me to Korean barbecue and I got to do it with him. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And, like getting that insider when you get to do it with somebody who's like, let me show you how to do this.
Right.
It's like, that's such an important part of like learning as a chef too. As a cook, of like, you need somebody who's like your little, like spirit guide on this journey, who's like, I'm going to show you, like, You know, and like for me, I'm like, what is mine? Like, I'm going to show you how to properly eat a beef at 𝗧𝗵𝗂𝗁 𝗂𝗵𝗂𝗁. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to go to Tony's. I'm going to make sure nobody fucking punches you in the face and you get the beef the right way. But any of those things, I think it's like the coolest. Like, you know, when you're talking through that, I'm just like, oh my God, can I just like, I just want to go on a trip with
I'm
Maneet
like,
and just be like, can I just like
India,
follow you around? It's
right.
like, I'll carry your bags. I'm very good at
Right.
carrying stuff.
You know what?
I'm built to carry things.
Let's do this. Next time that I'm in Chicago, let's go to Devon. I think it'll be so fun.
Done.
And they
I'll
used to
pick you up.
You know, they used to be right opposite, like, of course, when I was there, right opposite Kendall, there used to be a taxi joint, right? Because it was open really late. It was a Indian.
I know
like
exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And after we would wrap up, that is where we would go. We would either go to 𝗵𝗂𝗲𝗄𝗗𝗃.
Oh God, dude, you're the
yes.
second mention of 𝗵𝗂𝗲𝗄𝗃. So this Kristen Kish was talking about go to 𝗵𝗂𝗲𝗄𝗃.
Vivek and I, we used to do that. We used to shut the restaurant, walk over to 𝗵𝗂𝗲𝗄𝗃, and we used to have a whole, like, you know, so now whenever we go to Chicago, we have to stop at 𝗵𝗂𝗲𝗄𝗃 just for, you know, like that's the time we would just, you know, we had just gotten married. Right. So it was like all of these amazing memories. But yeah, so we had all of these places which were open late night and we knew exactly where to get food.
Yeah, that's great. In Chicago, I've definitely been to 𝗵𝗂𝗲𝗄𝗃's. And in New York, I feel like there are certain neighborhoods that are open late, but surprisingly, a lot of the food that we would eat after work in New York was like bar food until we discovered K-Town. And that was because I had a couple coworkers who had gone to the CIA, the big culinary school upstate New York, where you went, Maneet, and they were like, "Oh no, we're not getting fried wings tonight. Like, you guys, we're going to Koreatown, near Penn Station, near Madison Square Garden, like in that area." And oh my God, I was like, I can get this at 4 a.m. I can like grill Kalbi steak and like vegetables and like eat good food at 4 a.m.
And then walk down and do some karaoke while you are.
See, we used to go to Maxwell Street and get bone-in pork chop sandwiches and Polish sausages. You know,
there was I think Upper East Side. There was a French place which was called 𝗷𝗵𝗂𝗶𝘃𝗏. And that is the one place that they used to have wonderful French wines, great French food. So Vivek and I, that's where we used to go when we were in New York. Like, you know, you get a nice bottle of wine, you get some like nice garlicky escargot, and you're like, okay, life is good.
Yes, you'll have to take me there when you're in New York.
What's the one in New York, the like super famous one? It's Blue Ribbon. Are they still open? They used to be open super late
downtown. They were, that was I think the Bromberg brothers owned that, and they were open till like 4 a.m. When I lived in Brooklyn,
they were judges on our season of Top Chef
and go there. That's right. Yep, sure. We're Restaurant Wars.
Yeah.
I used to like stop there. At
we did pretty well in that one.
I mean, we did okay, you know, not like a tournament championship winner, tournament champions, two-time winner.
Two times.
Double up.
She's like, don't miss the second one, girl.
I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out, I'm like, really? It just happened? Like like, it was so funny. I remember the second time, I'm like, there's no way that it's going to happen again. I'm standing right over there and I'm like practicing my, consolation speech, like congratulations and all of that. And they told me and I fell down. And, it was also on my birthday. The finale was on my birthday. And I was like, just thinking about it, I'm like, this would suck big time. I'm like, this would be the worst birthday ever. And then it ended up being the best. So I'm like,
well, Joe beat me on International Women's Day.
It wasn't on International Women's Day. All right. All right. So
how could you do something of that?
Our finale episode aired on International Women's Day, and some lady like grilled me in a tweet. It was like, really, on International Women's Day, like you do? It was like, I was like, this is filmed 9 months ago.
You should have said, your answer should have been, I believe in equality, so that is why.
I'm sure that would have went over really well.
It's like, this morning I got up and I got a message on Instagram. They're like, learn English or go back. And I was like, I said, first of all, this is constructed really wrong. I said, and go back where? Like, you know,
Right.
like, should I go back to school? Should I go back to India? Should I go back to Chicago? Should I go back
Yeah,
to
if they
New
were
York?
saying go back to
I mean,
Chicago, you should
I
come
know.
back. It's great. We would love to have you.
And I'm
Like,
you know what?
Come back to New York. We're happy
if
to
that's
have
a
you.
suggestion, then yeah, come on, fucking by.
If Vivek is down to move back to New York, come on.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, not till the kids are not in college. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, the stuff people say is wild. I think it's time for you to come clean with a walk-in confession. We all have stories from earlier in our career where we know the Maneet that you are now, but we've all made mistakes. We've dropped stuff on the floor. We had to make purees on the fly.
We've had to crack some eggs to make some omelets in our day.
You know, all that fun stuff. So what is a funny story from your days as a younger cook, younger chef that you may not tell too often, but you know, we're in a safe space. You can share with us.
Yeah. You and a million other people. So many stories. So I don't know if you know this about me. My entire culinary education has been baking and pastry arts. When I was in India, I wanted to be a pastry chef. I wanted to be a wedding cake maker because that time in India, that was something that you didn't see a lot of. So when I came to the CIA, I wanted to be a pastry chef. So right after graduation, I was working at a place and I had made this entire, I had made this gorgeous wedding cake. There was a event going on and I had made this gorgeous wedding cake, right? Like it was 8 tiers and all of that, but it had these dividers in between. So, when you're like assembling a cake, you have the cake table, you go and assemble the different tiers on the table. So I did that and I, finished it. And I am walking past the dance floor and I turn and I'm very lovingly looking at, my labor of love and hard work. I have not slept for a couple of days to do that and all of that great stuff. Where the uncle of the bride decides that they want to go ahead and move the entire table. So I can see this entire thing happening in slow motion. Okay.
Oh,
He's
no.
picking up and I'm like,
No.
Oh.
so I'm like, the wedding is about to start.
Oh, it hadn't even started yet.
Oh, no, it hadn't started.
Oh, nobody's even seen the fucking
The
cake.
bride and the groom had not seen it. It was, and what I used to do was, because a lot of these were Indian weddings, the work that I used to do was really intricate. It was like fondant with, how you have like, this earring or how the Indian clothes are. That's what I used to do.
Oh my gosh.
So at that moment, this was in New Jersey. So we used to have 𝗀𝗏𝗃 over there, right?
Oh yeah.
I
Shout out
sent
Jules.
somebody to go and buy some cake and they're like, and I used to do exotic flavors like mango and lychee and all of that, right? You don't get mango and lychee.
I was like, what jewel in fucking Jersey is like,
Exactly.
oh, you want the mango lychee cake?
I know,
like-
exactly. Like, what you looking? So anyway, I sent somebody to go and buy 10 different cakes in the meantime. And listen, like when you talk about why I'm good at competition cooking, I think it's because of this fucked up experience, right? And the bride and the groom are about to come. This uncle thinks that he is like God's gift to humankind. And I'm like in the kitchen and I was like swearing in the kitchen in each and every Hindi swear word possible. I'm like, he is bleeping, bleep, bleep, bleep. In Hindi, I'm going away. While my chef in the front is looking at me and he's going like this, and I turn and that guy is standing right behind me, right?
Oh,
and I'm
my
like,
God.
I don't freaking care. Like,
Yeah, you're like, I'll fight this guy right fucking now.
no, I can't even, right? I had the florist get all the flowers within half an hour. Like the cake that I had spent 3 days making, I made that in literally half an hour it took for them to get all the cakes. I'm putting it together. I had buttercream over it, put flowers on top of it. I'm like, boom, send it out. I was like, and I think I'm like, the last think that whatever, I was lucky that the bride and groom didn't come running to me and saying that, oh, you know what, this didn't work or whatever, like this wasn't the cake that you told us. But yeah, so that was one of it. And then the second one was when I was in Chicago. I used to be very particular about New Year's. Okay, New Year's, we used to do all of these prefixes. I'm like, 11:55, I have to go and change. I'm not going to welcome New Year's in my chef uniform. It has to be in one of my fancy. So my sous chef, he told me that he's like, I'm going to make Irish out of you. So what he meant by that was a bottle of Jameson and jigger shots. Okay, you know those jigger shots, right? Like Coke in the bottom. So we were in the store, like in our storeroom. Between the two of us, we finished the entire bottle, right? Oh. But then I'm also the chef, so it has to be equal opportunity, right? So that means that each and every person who came up to me, they're like, chef, shots. And I had made these really like cool jello shots, like lychee, guava, all of that. So I did shots with everyone. Oh, the DJ was there. I might or might have not have been dancing on the bar, who knows. But this is Chicago, okay? December 31st, January 1st of Chicago. I had this really like this strapless dress that I was dancing in, whatever. We shut the restaurant. I left without my jacket. Thank God for, some of my friends who took me so I used to live right on, Ohio and Lakeshore Drive, right? They dropped me. There was the doorman and, I got in. My apartment was 2815. I spent an hour trying to open the door of 2515. Okay? An hour. I'm like, why is this not opening? Great. Thank God there was nobody there. Otherwise, I literally would have been, and then I think, finally I did go up and crashed out. And the next morning, my sister and brother-in-law, they live right over there. They came over for brunch. We went to 𝗍𝗏's and I spent the entire lunch in the restroom throwing up.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That is
oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's a top tier Chicago New Year's Eve right there. That's how you know you really lived in Chicago. You're like, I went home when it's, you didn't really live in Chicago if you never left a bar, when it was freezing cold out without a Coke because you had too many Jameson shots. You know what I mean? That is like,
Well, then I haven't lived because thank God I have not done that.
I'm ashamed.
I think we have to come
Adrian,
back
I'm ashamed of you.
I know. Okay, this holiday we've got to do that.
Maneet, we have a couple of minutes left, so I want to do a really, really quick turn and burn. And this is very fast answer this or that kind of style. You ready?
Never, but yes.
Okay, so when it comes to television cooking shows, judging or competing?
Competing.
Oh.
Going out for a few bites, dumplings or tacos?
Dumplings.
A drink after a long shift in the kitchen, bourbon or beer?
Sparkling wine.
Ooh, all right. Wow. Going to a steakhouse, ribeye or porterhouse?
Ooh, ribeye.
Okay. A pick-me-up in the morning, coffee or chai?
Chai.
And then a little sweet treat before bed. Are you going dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Dark.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That is a big problem. The kids, like in the morning, like bedside, they are wrappers. I know it's such bad, habits, but they are wrappers of chocolate. I have a big problem. And then I find for the longest time, it was the Lindt dark chocolate. Now have you tried the human chocolate?
Yes. Yeah.
No.
So good. Especially,
human?
Like
it's made from human
sugar.
HU. And it's in this brown
paper wrapper
wrap thing. And it's like it's limited ingredients, but it is so good. And then it has hazelnut butter or cashew butter or almond butter in it. It is so good.
All right.
Yeah, that's
all right. All right. I'm into it.
Yeah, you should try
Gotta
it. They're
try it.
good.
Might have to get myself a little sweet treat today.
Yes. Well, Chef, thank you so much for joining us. It is always a pleasure to hang out with you, and it has been a blast today.
Oh, thank you so much.
So fun. You're amazing. You're a great storyteller, and we're both just huge fans of yours. So thank you for taking the time. You have a very busy schedule. So
Yes.
and you let me know when you're coming to Chicago.
Inviting me to this fun party.
Tell everybody where they can find you, Chef.
I am really active on Instagram, Maneet Chauhan, but on all my socials, it's Maneet Chauhan.
That is it for this episode of The Chef's Cut. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening, especially if you're watching us on YouTube, where you can find full-length video episodes of the show. And follow us at The Chef's Cut Pod on IG. For Joe Flam, I'm Adrienne Cheatham, and this has been The Chef's Cut. Life Beyond the Paths.